Jake Morrison sat in the medical bay of the UES Discovery, wincing as Dr. Alex Turner wrapped his ribs. The training accident 3 weeks ago had left him with 2 cracked ribs that refused to heal properly. Every breath reminded him of his mistake during the zero-gravity combat drill. "You should be in bed rest," Dr. Turner said, checking the bandages. "These ribs need time to heal." Jake shook his head. "Can't miss first contact, Doc. This is history in the making." Commander Lisa Brooks entered the medical bay, her face serious. "How's our Marine, Alex?" "Stubborn as always," Dr. Turner replied. "His ribs are still fractured, but he insists on being part of the contact team." "I'm fine, Commander," Jake said, standing up slowly. "Just a little sore." Commander Brooks studied his face. She had known Jake for 5 years. He was tough, reliable, and never complained about pain. If he said he was fine, she believed him. "The Cytherians will arrive in 2 hours," she said. "This is our first meeting with their species. Everything must go perfectly." The Cytherian Alliance had made contact with Earth 6 months ago. They were a group of 3 alien species who had been watching humanity from a distance. Their message was simple. They wanted to meet and share technology. Their ships were beautiful, made of what looked like crystal and metal combined. Jake joined the contact team on the main deck. Through the large windows, he could see the Cytherian ship approaching. It was twice the size of the Discovery and seemed to glow with soft blue light. The ship moved without making any sound, floating like a dream. "Remember," Commander Brooks told her team, "the Cytherians are very advanced. They have medical technology we can't even imagine. They live much longer than humans, and their bodies are more delicate than ours." The first aliens to board the Discovery were unlike anything Jake had ever seen. Velnara was tall and thin, with skin that looked like living crystal. Her movements were graceful and careful. Behind her came HFY, who looked like a giant insect but walked on 2 legs. His body was covered in smooth, dark armor. "Welcome to our ship," Commander Brooks said, stepping forward with a smile. Velnara spoke in a voice that sounded like wind chimes. "Thank you, Commander Brooks. We are honored to finally meet humanity." The meeting started well. The aliens were polite and seemed genuinely interested in human culture. They asked questions about Earth, about human society, and about their technology. Jake stood at attention with the other Marines, watching and listening. Then something went wrong. A junior officer accidentally bumped into a control panel. Alarms started ringing throughout the ship. Red lights flashed everywhere. In the confusion, someone shouted about a security breach. The Cytherians reacted instantly. HFY moved faster than Jake thought possible. The insect-like alien grabbed him by the arm and twisted it behind his back. Jake felt his injured ribs shift, sending sharp pain through his chest. "Wait!" Commander Brooks shouted. "It's just a false alarm." But HFY was already moving. He dragged Jake toward their ship, speaking rapidly in his own language. Other Cytherians surrounded the remaining humans, their weapons drawn. "This is a misunderstanding," Dr. Turner called out, but the aliens were not listening. Jake found himself pulled into the Cytherian ship. The inside was even more beautiful than the outside, with walls that seemed to pulse with gentle light, but he had no time to admire it. HFY pushed him into a small room and sealed the door. The room was bare except for a single chair in the center. Jake sat down carefully, trying not to aggravate his ribs. He could hear voices outside, speaking in the alien language. They sounded upset and worried. After an hour, Velnara entered the room. Her crystal skin seemed dimmer than before, and her movements were nervous. "I apologize for this situation," she said. "Zexhai believes your people tried to attack us. He is concerned about our safety." "It was an accident," Jake said calmly. "Someone hit the wrong button. It happens all the time on human ships." Velnara tilted her head, studying him. "You seem very calm for someone who has been captured." Jake shrugged, then immediately regretted it as pain shot through his ribs. "Getting upset won't help anything. Besides, I'm sure our people are already working to fix this mess." "Are you not afraid?" she asked. "A little," Jake admitted. "But fear doesn't solve problems." Velnara stared at him for a long moment. In her culture, being captured was one of the most terrifying things that could happen. The fact that this human seemed so relaxed was confusing. "Zexhai wishes to question you," she said finally. "He believes you may have information about human military plans." "I'm just a Marine," Jake said. "I follow orders and protect my crew. That's all." "Nevertheless, he insists." Velnara's voice sounded sad. "I must warn you, Zexhai's methods can be unpleasant." Jake nodded. "I understand." After Velnara left, Jake sat alone in the room. He tried to find a comfortable position, but his ribs made everything hurt. The bones had been slowly healing, but they were still loose and shifted whenever he moved wrong. He thought about his training. The military had taught him to resist, interrogation, to withstand pain and pressure, but they had always assumed he would be questioned by other humans. He had no idea what alien interrogation might involve. The door opened again, and Zexhai entered. The insect-like alien was even more intimidating up close. His dark eyes reflected the room's light, and his movements were quick and precise. "Human," Zexhai said, his voice deep and harsh. "You will tell me about your people's weapons." "I already told Velnara," Jake replied. "I'm just a Marine. I don't know about weapons development or military strategy." Zexhai clicked his mandibles together, a sound Jake found unsettling. "We shall see." The alien began his interrogation, asking detailed questions about human military capabilities, ship designs, and tactical plans. Jake answered honestly about what he knew, which wasn't much. He was a soldier, not a strategist or engineer. As the hours passed, Zexhai grew more frustrated. He had expected the human to break down and reveal secrets. Instead, Jake remained calm and consistent in his answers. "Your people have made you very resistant," Zexhai observed. "I'm just telling the truth," Jake said. "I don't know the things you're asking about." The alien studied him carefully. Something was wrong. In Zexhai's experience, captured beings should be terrified by now. They should be begging for mercy or trying to bargain for their freedom. But this human seemed almost comfortable. That was when Zexhai noticed something that made his blood run cold. There were dark marks on the human's side, visible through his torn shirt. The alien had seen such marks before. They were signs of recent torture. "You have already been interrogated," Zexhai said, his voice filled with horror. Jake looked down at his bandaged ribs. "Oh, these? No. I got hurt during training. Stupid accident, really." But Zexhai didn't believe him. In the alien's mind, those marks could only mean one thing. This human had already been brutally tortured by his own people. That would explain his strange calmness. He had already endured the worst possible pain. The realization changed everything for Zexhai. If the humans were willing to torture their own soldiers before sending them on diplomatic missions, what kind of species were they dealing with? HFY left the room quickly, his mind racing. He found Velnara in the ship's command center, speaking with other Cytherians about the situation. "The human has been tortured," HFY announced, causing everyone to stop talking. Velnara's crystal skin flickered with shock. "What do you mean?" "Look at his body. There are clear signs of recent violence. His own people have already broken him before sending him to us." The other Cytherians made sounds of horror. In their culture, torture was the most evil thing imaginable. Their bodies were fragile, and even small amounts of pain could cause lasting damage or death. "This changes everything," said Thekmor, the ship's commander. "If humans torture their own people, they are far more dangerous than we thought." "But he seemed so calm," Velnara protested. "How can someone who has been tortured act so normal?" "Perhaps that is what makes humans so frightening," HFY replied. "They can endure pain that would kill any of us." Back in the holding room, Jake was trying to find a comfortable way to sit. His ribs were getting worse, not better. Every time he moved, the loose bone fragments shifted and sent sharp pains through his chest. He wished Dr. Turner was here to give him more pain medication. The door opened and several Cytherians entered. Jake could see fear in their alien faces, though he didn't understand why. He had been nothing but polite and cooperative. "Human," HFY said, his voice now filled with respect and dread. We did not know your people had already prepared." "You? Prepared me for what?" Jake asked, genuinely confused. "Your torture resistance training must have been extensive." Jake blinked. "Torture resistance? I mean, yeah, we learned some basic stuff in the military, but nothing special." The aliens exchanged worried looks. This human spoke of torture training as if it was normal, everyday preparation. "We understand now why you show no fear," Velnara said softly. "After what your own people did to you, our methods must seem gentle." "I'm sorry, but I really don't know what you're talking about," Jake said. "Nobody tortured me. I just hurt my ribs in a training accident." HFY stepped closer, studying the marks on Jake's torso. "Those injuries are from impact weapons. Blunt, force trauma designed to cause maximum pain without killing." "Well, yeah, I guess," Jake said, thinking about how he had slammed into the wall during the zero-gravity drill. "I hit the wall pretty hard." "They made you hit walls?" Thekmor asked, horrified. No, Jake said quickly. "It was an accident. I was practicing combat maneuvers and miscalculated a turn. Rookie mistake." The aliens became even more confused. This human was describing violence as if it was a normal part of daily life. "You practice violence regularly?" Velnara asked. Of course. "How else do you stay ready for combat?" The Cytherians had never heard anything so frightening. Their own military training involved computer simulations and mental exercises. The idea of actually hitting each other was unthinkable. HFY decided to test the humans' pain tolerance. He needed to understand what they were dealing with. He activated a small device that produced a high-pitched sound. To a Cytherian, this sound would cause immediate, overwhelming pain. Jake heard the noise and winced slightly. "That's pretty annoying. Could you turn it off?" The aliens stared in shock. The sound should have made the human scream and collapse. Instead, he just found it annoying. "Increase the intensity," Thekmor whispered. HFY turned the device to maximum power. Jake frowned and rubbed his ears. "Seriously, that's giving me a headache. What is that thing?" The Cytherians quickly turned off the device. They were beginning to understand that humans were fundamentally different from any species they had ever encountered. "Your pain tolerance is remarkable," Velnara said carefully. "I guess," Jake replied. "Though these ribs are really starting to bother me. Do you guys have any pain medication?" The casual way he mentioned his injuries shocked them again. A Cytherian with similar damage would be unconscious or dead. HFY decided to try a different approach. He would use physical methods that always worked on other species. He approached Jake and placed one clawed hand on his shoulder. "You will tell us the truth about human military capabilities," he said, applying pressure. Jake felt the alien's grip tighten. It was firm, but not particularly painful. "I already told you the truth. I'm just a regular soldier." HFY increased the pressure, pressing down with force that would break a Cytherian's bones. Jake shifted uncomfortably but didn't cry out. "Okay, that's starting to hurt a little," Jake said, "but I still don't know what you want me to tell you." The alien couldn't believe it. He was using enough force to incapacitate any being he had ever encountered, and the human was treating it like a minor annoyance. In frustration, HFY stepped back and gestured to the other aliens. "This is impossible. He must have some kind of pain-blocking technology." "Maybe it's biological," Thekmor suggested. "Perhaps humans naturally produce chemicals that block pain." Jake watched the aliens discuss him as if he couldn't understand them. Their translator devices worked both ways, so he heard every word. "Look," he said, interrupting their conversation. "I know this is weird for you, but humans are pretty tough. We have to be. Our planet is dangerous and our bodies evolved to handle injuries." "Your planet is dangerous?" Velnara asked. "Oh yeah. We have predators, natural disasters, diseases, extreme weather. Plus, we're always fighting each other over resources and territory. You learn to deal with pain or you don't survive." The Cytherians listened in growing horror. This human was describing a world that sounded like a nightmare. "How do your young survive?" Thekmor asked. "Most don't," Jake said matter-of-factly. "High infant mortality rate, childhood diseases, accidents. The ones who make it to adulthood are the tough ones." HFY realized they were not dealing with a normal species. Humans were survivors from a death world, creatures who had evolved to endure conditions that would destroy any civilized being. "We need to try stronger methods," he told the others. Jake heard this and sighed. "Look, I know you think I'm hiding something, but I'm really not. I'm just a grunt. I follow orders, carry a rifle, and try not to get killed. That's it." HFY moved behind Jake and prepared to strike his injured ribs. Among Cytherians, even threatening to hit an existing injury would cause immediate surrender. Last chance, human. "Tell us what we want to know." "I've told you everything I can," Jake replied. "I don't know anything about weapons development or military strategy." HFY raised his leg and kicked Jake directly in the ribs, right where the bandages showed the worst damage. He expected screaming, begging, complete breakdown. Instead, there was a loud crack as the loose bone fragments shifted. Jake's eyes went wide, and he took a deep breath. "Oh, wow," he said, his voice filled with relief. "Thanks. That's been bothering me for weeks." The aliens froze in shock. HFY had just delivered what should have been a crippling blow, and the human was thanking him. "You guys are pretty good at this medical stuff," Jake continued, rotating his shoulders experimentally. "The bones feel like they're finely lined upright." HFY stared at his own leg, then at the human. He had used enough force to shatter crystal. The human should be unconscious, possibly dying. Instead, he seemed happier than before. Did we just accidentally heal you? Velnara asked in amazement. I think so, Jake said, stretching carefully. The ribs were healing wrong, overlapping each other. When you kicked them, they snapped back into the right position. The Catherians looked at each other in disbelief. Their torture methods had somehow helped the human. This is impossible, Thekmore whispered. Actually, it's pretty common, Jake said cheerfully. Sometimes broken bones need to be reset. Usually doctors do it with surgery, but a good hard impact can work too. He stood up and moved around the room, testing his mobility. For the first time in weeks, he could breathe without pain. I should probably thank you properly, he said to Zexhai. That really helped. The alien interrogator sat down heavily, overwhelmed by what he had just witnessed. Everything he thought he knew about pain, healing, and interrogation had just been turned upside down by this impossible human. Word spread quickly through the Catherian ship about the impossible human. Crew members who had heard the story refused to believe it. A being that thanked his interrogator for kicking his broken bones? It sounded like madness. Velnara called. An emergency meeting with the ship's medical team. Dr. Zenkala, the chief medical officer, listened to the report with growing disbelief. You're telling me that blunt force trauma actually helped heal his injuries? The doctor asked. That's what he claims, Velnara replied. And his movements afterward were much better. Impossible. Trauma causes damage, not healing. Perhaps we should observe him more carefully, suggested Dr. Yathara, a younger medical officer. If humans truly heal differently than we do, this could change everything we know about biology. Meanwhile, Jake was trying to explain human medicine to his captors. Zexhai had brought recording equipment and was documenting everything. So you're saying that human doctors sometimes break bones on purpose? Zexhai asked. Well, yeah, Jake said. If a bone heals wrong, they have to break it again and set it properly. It's called refracturing. The aliens made sounds of horror. The idea of deliberately causing injury to heal someone was completely foreign to them. What about surgery? Velnara asked. Surely you don't cut into your bodies. All the time, Jake replied casually. Removing diseased organs, fixing internal damage, replacing worn-out parts. Some people have surgery multiple times in their lives. And they survive this? Most of the time. Surgery is pretty routine now. Dr. Zenkala arrived at the holding room, eager to examine this strange creature. He brought several medical scanning devices that could analyze Jake's biology without touching him. May I study your injuries? The doctor asked politely. Sure. Go ahead, Jake said. The doctor began his scans, and immediately the readings confused him. The human's bone density was incredible, far higher than any known species. His muscle mass was also unusual, with thick, rope-like fibers that seemed designed to absorb impact. Your skeleton is like armor, Dr. Zenkala observed. How much weight can you carry? In full gear. About my own body weight for long distances. More for short periods. The Catherians exchanged glances. Their own bodies could barely carry 10% of their weight without strain. What about temperature tolerance? Dr. Yathara asked. Depends on the environment, Jake said. Humans live everywhere on Earth. Frozen Arctic, burning deserts, high mountains with thin air. We adapt. You can survive in extreme temperatures? With the right equipment, sure. Even without it, humans can handle pretty wide temperature ranges. We sweat to cool down and shiver to warm up. The medical team was fascinated. Their own species required carefully controlled environments to survive. Tell us about human children, Velnara said. How do they develop such resistance to damage? Jake thought about his childhood. Well, kids are always getting hurt, falling down, running into things, fighting with each other. It's how we learn to be careful. Your children. Fight? Of course. Roughhousing, sports, playground games. It teaches them to handle physical contact and pain. And your adults allow this? We encourage it. How else do kids learn their limits? The aliens were horrified. In Catherian society, children were protected from any possible harm. The idea of deliberately allowing them to experience pain was unthinkable. Dr. Zenkala's scans revealed more shocking information. This human's body shows evidence of hundreds of healed injuries, broken bones, torn muscles, damaged organs. Yet he appears healthy. That's pretty normal, Jake said. Everyone has scars and old injuries. It's part of being human. But how do you function with so much damage? The body heals stronger than before. Broken bones develop thicker calcium deposits. Torn muscles rebuild with more fibers. Damaged skin becomes tougher. The Catherian medical team couldn't believe what they were hearing. In their species, any significant injury caused permanent weakness. But humans seem to become stronger from damage. Can you demonstrate this healing process? Dr. Yithara asked eagerly. Jake held up his left hand. See this finger? I broke it during the capture. He pointed to his index finger, which was slightly swollen and bent at an odd angle. When did this happen? Dr. Zenkala asked, preparing. His scanner. About 6 hours ago. Zexhai grabbed my arm wrong and the finger got caught. The doctor scanned the finger and found a clear fracture in the middle joint. This injury should render your hand unusable. It hurts a little, but it still works, Jake said, wiggling the broken finger. Want me to fix it? Fix it how? Velnara asked. Same way you fix my ribs. Quick impact to snap the bones back together. Before anyone could stop him, Jake grabbed his broken finger and yanked it hard. There was a sharp crack as the bones realigned. He flexed his hand a few times. Testing the movement. There we go. Good as new. The aliens stared in complete shock. Jake had just performed surgery on himself without anesthesia, tools, or even apparent discomfort. Did that not cause you agony? Dr. Zenkala asked weakly. It hurt for a second, Jake admitted. But broken fingers are pretty minor. You learn to deal with them. You consider broken bones minor injuries? The small ones, yeah. Fingers, toes, ribs if they're not displaced. The big bones are more serious. Dr. Yithara was recording everything. What do you consider a major injury? Jake thought for a moment. Severed limbs, major organ damage, skull fractures, spinal injuries. Things that can kill you or leave you permanently disabled. And minor injuries? Cuts, bruises, small breaks, dislocations, burns, concussions. Stuff that heals on its own with time. The Catherian medical team was learning that human and alien definitions of injury were completely different. What they considered life-threatening, humans called minor inconveniences. How often do humans experience these minor injuries? Dr. Zenkala asked. Pretty regularly. Most people get hurt doing everyday activities. Working, playing, exercising, it's just part of life. And you continue your activities while injured? Usually. Unless it's really bad, you just work through it. The concept of working through pain was foreign to the Catherians. Their bodies were so fragile that any injury required immediate medical care and extended recovery time. Jake's communicator crackled to life, Dr. Turner's voice came through clearly. "Jake, are you there? We're working on getting you out of there." "I'm fine, Doc," Jake replied. "Actually, the aliens accidentally fixed my ribs. They're feeling much better." "They fixed your ribs? How?" "One of them kicked me in exactly the right spot. Snapped everything back into place." There was a long pause before Dr. Turner responded. "That's actually not a bad treatment method. Sometimes percussive therapy works better than surgery." The Catherians listened to this conversation with growing amazement. The human doctor was discussing violent impacts as medical treatment. "Doc, can you walk me through setting a broken finger?" Jake asked. "I think I got the bones lined up, but I want to make sure." "You broke another finger?" "Just a small fracture, already popped. It back together, but I want to double-check my work." Dr. Turner sighed. "Jake, you can't keep fixing your own injuries." "Why not? It's faster than waiting for proper medical care." Through the communicator, Dr. Turner began explaining proper finger-splinting techniques. Jake followed the instructions, using strips torn from his shirt to immobilize the finger. The Catherian medical team watched in fascination as the human performed field medicine on himself, guided by remote assistance. Their own medical procedures required teams of specialists and sophisticated equipment. "Your people are remarkable," Dr. Zenkala said finally. "We have much to learn from each other." "Really?" Jake asked. "You guys seem pretty advanced to me. That scanner thing is incredible, and your ship's medical bay looks like something from a science fiction movie. But we cannot heal from damage the way you do. Our bodies are fragile and require constant care. One significant injury can disable us for life." "That must be difficult," Jake said sympathetically. "How do you handle dangerous situations?" "We avoid them," Velnara admitted. "Our society is built around preventing injury and minimizing risk." "That makes sense. Different species, different survival strategies." The aliens were beginning to understand that humans weren't just tough. They were adapted for a completely different way of living. Where Catherians sought safety and comfort, humans embraced risk and challenge. "This changes everything," Dr. Zenkala said to his colleagues. "If we could learn to heal like humans do, it would revolutionize our medicine." "And if humans could learn our precision techniques," Dr. Yathara added, "they could heal even faster and more completely." Both species were starting to see the potential benefits of cooperation rather than conflict. Commander Brooks paced the bridge of the Discovery, frustrated and worried. 6 hours had passed since Jake was taken, and diplomatic channels were getting nowhere. "Any word from the Catherians?" she asked her communications officer. "They keep saying they're evaluating the situation, ma'am, but they won't let us speak to Jake." Dr. Turner looked up from his medical station. "Commander, I've been monitoring Jake's communicator. He sounds fine. Better than fine, actually." His voice is clearer than it's been since the rib injury. "How is that possible? I'm not sure. But whatever they're doing to him, it doesn't seem to be causing distress." On the Catherian ship, a heated debate was taking place in the council chamber. The discovery of human durability had split the alien leadership into two groups. "This changes our entire understanding of the galaxy," argued Commander Thekmore. "Humans could be the solution to problems we never thought possible to solve. Or they could be the most dangerous threat we've ever encountered," countered Security Chief Vexenel. "Beings who consider injury normal cannot be trusted." Velnara stood to address the council. "I have spent hours with the human. He shows no aggression, no deception. He is exactly what he claims to be, a simple soldier doing his duty." A soldier whose body is designed for violence, Vexnell replied. How do we know this is not an elaborate deception? Dr. Zenkala activated his holographic display, showing Jake's medical scans. Look at this evidence. The human skeleton is 3 times denser than ours. His muscle fibers are designed to absorb impact. His nervous system processes pain differently. This is not deception. This is evolution. Evolution on a death world, Vexnell said. What kind of planet produces creatures like this? The kind of planet that creates survivors, Thekmore answered. Think of what we could accomplish together. Humans could go places we cannot, survive conditions that would kill us in moments. In the holding room, Jake was having a casual conversation with his guards. They had brought him food and water, and he was telling them stories about Earth. So, you're saying humans actually compete to see who can endure the most pain? Asked Guard Captain Rixtall. Sure. We call them endurance competitions. Marathon running, Ironman contests, military training competitions. People push themselves to their absolute limits. And others watch this for entertainment? People love watching extreme sports. The more dangerous and painful it looks, the more exciting it is. The guards exchanged worried glances. Human entertainment sounded like torture to them. What about your military training? Rixtall asked. How do you prepare soldiers? Jake thought about his own experience. Lots of physical conditioning, running, climbing, lifting weights, combat training where you actually hit each other, survival exercises in difficult environments. You train by fighting each other? How else do you learn? You can't really understand combat until you've felt the impact of a punch or learned to fight while hurt. And your officers strike subordinates as part of training? No, Jake said quickly. We fight each other, not up and down the chain of command. It's about building toughness and skills, not punishment. The guards were trying to understand a military culture based on controlled violence rather than hierarchy and technology. Commander, Brooks finally received permission to board the Catherian ship. She brought Dr. Turner and a small diplomatic team, leaving the Discovery under the command of her first officer. When they arrived in the Catherian council chamber, Brooks was surprised by what she found. Instead of hostile captors, she saw aliens, who seemed both fascinated and terrified. Commander Brooks, Velnara greeted her. We must apologize for this situation. What began as a misunderstanding has become educational. Where is Sergeant Morrison? Brooks demanded. He is safe and well. In fact, he is in better condition than when we took him. Dr. Turner frowned. What do you mean? Dr. Zenkala stepped forward. We accidentally healed his injured ribs during our examination. His broken finger has also been properly set. You healed him? Dr. Turner asked skeptically. It was unintentional. Our interrogation methods appear to have therapeutic effects on human physiology. Brooks looked around the room, noting the alien expressions. You seem more afraid of us than we are of you. With good reason, Commander Thekmore said. Your species is unlike anything we have ever encountered. You are living weapons. Jake is a Marine, but he's hardly a weapon, Brooks protested. Commander, may I show you something? Dr. Zenkala activated his holographic display again, showing Jake's medical scans alongside Catherian anatomy. Brooks and Dr. Turner studied the comparison in amazement. The differences were staggering. His bones are 3 times denser than ours, Dr. Zenkala explained. His muscles are designed to absorb tremendous forces. His nervous system allows him to function despite injuries that would incapacitate or kill us. Dr. Turner whistled softly. I knew humans were tough, but I never realized how much tougher than other species we might be. That's not even the most remarkable part, Dr. Yathara added. He heals stronger than before. Each injury makes him more resilient. And he considers this normal, Velnara said. He speaks of broken bones and torn muscles as minor inconveniences. Brooks was beginning to understand the alien's perspective. You think we're monsters, not monsters, Techmore said carefully. But beings from a world so dangerous that you evolved capabilities we cannot comprehend. Which brings us to our proposal, Velnara said. We believe our species could benefit greatly from cooperation. She activated a star map showing the Catherian territory. Red markers indicated dozens of locations throughout their space. These are disaster sites that our people cannot reach, she explained. Radiation zones, collapsed structures, toxic environments, extreme temperatures. Thousands of our people have died because we cannot mount rescue operations in these conditions. But humans could survive in these environments? Brooks asked. Based on what we've learned about your physiology, yes. You could go places we cannot, save lives we cannot reach. Dr. Turner leaned forward, interested. What would we get in return? Dr. Zenkala smiled, an expression that looked strange on his alien features. Our medical technology. Precision healing techniques that could enhance your natural abilities. Regeneration chambers that could accelerate your recovery from injuries. You want us to be your rescue teams? Brooks asked. More than that, Techmore said. We want to form an alliance. Human durability combined with Catherian medical science could create the most effective emergency response force in the galaxy. There are others who disagree with this proposal, Velnara admitted. Some of our people see humans as too dangerous to trust. What would convince them? Brooks asked. A demonstration. A real emergency situation where human capabilities could save Catherian lives. As if summoned by her words, alarms began ringing throughout the ship. A communications officer rushed into the chamber. Commander, emergency signal from station. Kith Valdra, they've been hit by asteroid impacts. Techmore activated the emergency display. The space station appeared on screen, its structure badly damaged and venting atmosphere. How many people on board? Velnara asked. 3,000 civilians, including 500 children. The display showed radiation readings and structural damage that made the aliens pale with fear. We cannot mount a rescue operation, Techmore said grimly. The radiation levels would kill our rescue teams before they could reach the survivors. Brooks studied the damage assessment. It was bad, but not impossible. How long before the station's life support fails completely? 6 hours, maybe 8, and how long would it take your ships to get there? 4 hours. Brooks turned to Dr. Turner. Could human teams operate in that environment? With proper equipment? Yes. The radiation levels are high, but not immediately lethal. The structural damage would be dangerous, but our people could handle it. Then we have a deal, Brooks said to the aliens. We'll help rescue your people. In return, you provide medical support, and we discuss a formal alliance. Velnara looked around the council chamber. Even the skeptical members were nodding agreement. When faced with the choice between certain death for 3,000 civilians or trusting the dangerous humans, the decision was easy. We accept, Techmore said. But first you must retrieve Sergeant Morrison. He will be needed for this mission. Brooks smiled. Lead the way. When they reached the holding room, they found Jake giving the guards a detailed explanation of human athletic competitions. He looked up as the group entered. Commander, good to see you. These folks have been great hosts. Dr. Turner immediately began examining Jake's ribs. "How do you feel?" "Better than I have in weeks." Turns out alien interrogation techniques work pretty well as medical treatment. Brooke shook her head, amazed at Jake's casual attitude. "We have a situation, Sergeant. There's been an accident at an alien space station. We need to mount a rescue operation." Jake stood up, immediately serious. "How many people?" 3,000. "What's the danger level?" "High radiation, structural collapse, limited time." Jake nodded. "When do we leave?" The Catherians watched this exchange with growing respect. The human didn't hesitate, didn't ask for guarantees or extra compensation. When told that lives were at stake, his only concern was how quickly he could help. "This is why we need humans as allies," Velnara whispered. To Dr. Zankala, Station Kithvaldra hung in space like a broken jewel. What had once been a beautiful crystalline structure was now twisted metal and shattered walls. Atmosphere leaked from dozens of holes, creating frozen clouds that glittered in the starlight. Jake stood in the Discovery's shuttle bay, checking his radiation suit one last time. Around him, 5 other Marines were making their final preparations. Dr. Turner moved between them, monitoring their equipment. "Remember," Dr. Turner said, "the radiation exposure is cumulative. You have maybe 4 hours before it becomes dangerous, 6 hours before it becomes lethal." "Understood, Doc," Jake replied. He turned to address his team. "Mike, Tony, you're with me on the first sweep. Lisa, Carlos, Juan, you take the secondary route. We find survivors, we get them to the safe zones. We move fast." Through the shuttle's windows, they could see the Catherian rescue ships maintaining a safe distance. The aliens wanted to help, but their own biology made it impossible for them to enter the radiation zone. Commander Brooks activated the communication system. "Jake, you have direct contact with the Catherian medical team. Dr. Zankala will guide you to the survivors and provide medical advice." "Roger that, Commander." The shuttle launched from the Discovery and headed toward the damaged station. As they got closer, the extent of the destruction became clear. Whole sections had been torn away by the asteroid impacts. Dr. Zankala's voice came through their communicators. "Human team, can you hear me?" "Loud and clear, Doc," Jake replied. "I am reading life signs in Section 7, Level 12. But be warned, the structural damage is severe. The floors may not support your weight." "Copy that. We're used to unstable terrain." The shuttle docked with an intact airlock. Jake and his team entered the station and immediately felt the effects of the radiation. Their suits' warning systems beeped steadily, tracking their exposure levels. The interior of the station was a maze of twisted metal and debris. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows on the walls. In the distance, they could hear the sounds of scared voices calling for help. "This way," Jake said, leading his team through the wreckage. They found the first group of survivors in what had been a shopping area. 20 Catherian civilians were huddled together, too frightened to move. When they saw the humans approaching, several cried out in fear. "It's okay," Jake said gently. "We're here to help." Dr. Zankala's voice came through the communicator. "Those people have been exposed to radiation for 3 hours. They need immediate medical attention." Jake knelt beside a young Catherian child who was barely conscious. "Doc, this little one looks pretty bad. What can we do?" "Place your hand on her forehead. I will guide you through a basic stabilization procedure." Following Dr. Zankala's instructions, Jake performed simple medical techniques that the Catherian doctor directed remotely. To the human, it felt like basic first aid. To the watching Catherian civilians, it looked like a miracle. How is he? Doing that? One of the adult Catherians whispered. The human's hands are incredibly steady, Dr. Zenkala explained, and he can apply precise pressure without causing additional damage. This would require surgical instruments for us to accomplish. Jake's team worked quickly, stabilizing the injured and guiding the survivors toward the safe evacuation zone. But as they moved deeper into the station, the damage got worse. Section 9 has completely collapsed, reported Lisa over the radio. We're reading life signs underneath the debris, but we can't reach them. How much debris? Jake asked. Several. Tons of metal beams and broken wall panels. Dr. Zenkala's voice was worried. Humans, that debris is too heavy for safe removal. You could cause further collapse. Maybe for your people, Jake said, but we're a little stronger. Jake and Mike reached the collapse site and surveyed the situation. A family of Catherians was trapped underneath a pile of metal that would have required heavy machinery to move safely. Doc, we're going to lift this stuff manually, Jake reported. Guide us so we don't make it worse. Manually? That's impossible. Trust us. Working together, Jake and Mike began lifting pieces of debris that weighed hundreds of pounds each. Their enhanced bone density and muscle structure, which had so amazed the aliens, now proved its worth. They moved obstacles that no Catherian could have budged. Dr. Zenkala watched through their helmet cameras in amazement. Incredible! They're moving that debris as if it weighs nothing. Underneath the wreckage, they found a Catherian family. 2 adults and 3 children. The father had been badly injured trying to protect his family when the collapse happened. Doc, the adult male has what looks like internal bleeding, Jake reported, examining the injured Catherian. That injury requires immediate surgery. Without proper medical facilities, he will die. Jake looked at the medical kit on his belt. It contained basic human field surgery supplies, tools that were crude by Catherian standards but effective. Talk me through it, Doc. What needs to be done? You cannot perform surgery with those primitive instruments. We do it all the time, in combat situations. Just tell me what to fix. For the next 20 minutes, Dr. Zenkala guided Jake through an emergency surgical procedure. The human's steady hands and high pain tolerance allowed him to work in conditions that would have been impossible for a Catherian surgeon. Make a small incision there. Yes, exactly. Now apply pressure to stop the bleeding. Perfect. Your hands are remarkably precise. The injured Catherian's family watched in awe as the alien soldier operated on their father using techniques they had never seen before. Is this normal for humans? The mother asked through her translator. Pretty much, Jake replied, still focused on the surgery. We all learn basic medical skills in the military. All of you can perform surgery? Emergency surgery, yeah. When someone's life depends on it, you learn fast. Dr. Zenkala's voice was filled with admiration. The procedure is complete. You've successfully repaired the internal damage. This human has just performed surgery that would challenge our best doctors. As the rescue operation continued, the partnership between human durability and Catherian medical knowledge proved incredibly effective. The humans could go anywhere and lift anything, while the alien doctors provided precise guidance and advanced techniques. Section 15 is completely flooded with toxic coolant, reported Carlos. But we're reading life signs inside. The coolant would dissolve Catherian skin on contact, Dr. Zenkala warned. What about human skin? Jake asked. There was a pause while the doctor checked his data. It would cause burns, but not immediately lethal damage. You could survive brief exposure. Then we're going in. Jake and his team waded through the toxic coolant, their suits providing some protection, but not complete immunity. They found a group of Catherian engineers who had been trapped when the coolant system ruptured. "We'll get you out of here," Jake told them, even as the toxic chemicals began eating through his suit. The evacuation took 45 minutes. By the end, Jake's suit was badly damaged, and his exposed skin showed chemical burns. But all 12 Catherian engineers were saved. Dr. Turner's voice came through the communicator, worried. "Jake, your radiation exposure is approaching dangerous levels. You need to evacuate." "Not yet, Doc. We're still reading life signs in the central core. The core section is the most damaged area. The radiation there could kill you in minutes." Jake looked at his team. They were all showing signs of radiation sickness, nausea, fatigue, skin irritation, but they were still functional. "Doc," he said to Dr. Zenkala, "how many people are left in the core?" 53. Mostly children who were visiting the education center. Jake made his decision. "We're going in." The central core was a nightmare of destruction. The radiation levels were so high that their suits' alarms had stopped beeping and started screaming continuous warnings. But in the wreckage of what had been a school, they found the children. Most of the young Catherians were unconscious from radiation exposure. Some were trapped under debris. All of them would die without immediate help. "This is going to require precision medical work while exposed to lethal radiation," Dr. Zenkala said. "It's impossible." "Then we'd better hurry," Jake replied. 4. The next hour, Jake and his team performed the most difficult rescue operation of their lives. Guided by Catherian medical expertise, they stabilized radiation-poisoned children, performed emergency surgery, and moved tons of debris. By the time they finished, Jake's radiation exposure was 3 times the normally lethal dose. His team wasn't much better off. But all 53 children were alive and evacuated to safety. As the shuttles returned to the Discovery, Dr. Turner immediately began treating the radiation sickness. The Marines were violently ill, their skin was burned, and their bodies were shutting down from radiation damage. "How are they still alive?" Dr. Yathara asked, studying the medical readings. "Human physiology," Dr. Turner replied grimly. "They can function far beyond what should be possible, but they'll need the best medical care available." Dr. Zenkala activated the Catherian medical transport. "Bring them to our ship immediately. We have regeneration chambers that can reverse radiation damage." "Will your medical technology work on humans?" Dr. Turner asked. "We're about to find out." The treatment took 18 hours. Catherian regeneration technology, combined with human, natural healing ability, proved remarkably effective. Jake and his team not only survived, but